having the pressure of all the income for a couple, I think
in New York
crazy.
City is insane.
Anywhere, I think is crazy. Like, that is one thing I throw to men, is like, they will just take that. They'll just deal with that pressure their whole life.
And that's something also that I think I have a lot of conversations about now, and has given me, the other perspective of it, so to speak, because like at the time that this happened, Mad Men was a really popular show.
Oh, and I just started watching the show.
And I remember watching episodes of Mad Men, and I'd be like, man, I get Don Draper. He just wants to fucking go drink and not come home till tomorrow, because that pressure of like, how am I going to keep this all together? I'm responsible for all of this. We don't have health insurance if it's not for me. We don't have a place to live. Like, we can't go back and live with our parents. Like, we didn't come from like a big safety net. We didn't come from anyone like, being like, don't worry, we got it. Mm-hmm.
Everybody, welcome back to Shooters Gotta Shoot. I am your host, Eric Aspira, and today we have another great episode for you guys this week. But before we get started, real quick, if you're on our YouTube, just hit subscribe. The button's right there. It's free. It really helps us out. All right. And then the other thing you can do is join our Patreon, which helps pay for the studio, this amazing video. You can join us at patreon.com/shootersgottashoot. And the end of the episode, we'll have a Patreon preview just for you. So stay tuned for that. Without further ado, I got to bring on our guest. So you might know her from the Donna's Advice and Stories podcast or the Donna's Project. Everybody, please put your hands together for the very great Dee Guerreros.
Thank you so much.
Woo-hoo.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really excited.
I am so excited. I've been to have you on forever.
Thank you.
Separate from this, but tied in, we interviewed your husband, Alexis Guerreros, funny comic. It was episode 38. We had him on.
All right.
And we talked to him specifically about how he was the primary breadwinner of your relationship, and then everything flipped when he got laid off.
Yeah.
And you stepped in.
I did
and
step
took
in
over.
for 10 years. And I'm still the breadwinner.
I mean, I knew that.
Just because you're on TV doesn't mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny because everyone will be like, oh, Alexis is doing great. Like, oh, you must be so happy. He's doing fantastic. He's on TV. He's got the show. He's got blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I still go to work.
Yeah. You're like, it's not that good.
Like, I'm really proud. I'm happy for him. Yeah. But like, I am still in a hospital in a pandemic, being a nurse. So like,
which also thank you for your service. I should have put that in the intro.
Thank you.
Also a nurse, taking care of everybody.
Pizza and the pots and pans. We appreciate you guys.
But I have to ask, as kind of a follow-up, even though it was a long time ago, we had Alexis on.
Sure.
How was that time for you, essentially, especially upon, let's go with hearing the news. He comes on, he's like, I got laid off.
I think when it happened and he said he got laid off, I immediately went into, so I've always been someone who like, my family and grandparents and stuff always kind of raised you to like live on one salary and kind of, as they say, live below your means, so to speak. And always because of, they lived through the Depression and they were immigrants and all the things and, what life can throw at you and stuff like that. So that was kind of a way that we lived to begin with. And I'm very grateful that I lived like that because it wasn't so like, oh, what the fuck are we going to do?
Right.
I was more of a saver than he was. So I kind of like had like a cushion for us to like, I was like, well, we can like probably get through like so many months or whatever. But I think I just went into, like my makeup. And it's funny because before we started, we were talking about like astrology and things like that. But like my makeup is I thrive and survive in crisis. So I mean, I'm a nurse.
Yeah, I was like, you're a nurse like, in a pandemic.
Yeah. It's crazy because when things are calm and cool, I'm more nervous and worried and kind of being like, when's the other shoe going to drop? When's this all going to go to shit? Oh, wow, things are going good for me. The rug's going to get pulled out from under me soon enough. So we were like on a vibe and we were doing great. We just moved to the city. I just got a BMW. I had a great job. He had a great job. And so I was just kind of waiting for it. I was like, well, this is not going to last. And sure enough, it didn't. And then, I just went into crisis mode. I went into like, how are we going to do this? How am I going to handle this? At the time, I was working 2 jobs. I was a nurse and had a full-time gig. And then wildly, like, I believe, like, we get like realigned with shit and stuff throws you and stuff happens and puts you in this like path or whatever. I was going through my Saturn return at the time, astrologically.
Okay. All right. I know that's a big, it's like the life-changing
And it was about money and learning that I could kind of not depend on other people. And it was like really me like rising into my, like looking back now, like it was really me rising into my own feminine power of like growing up in an Italian family, like thinking someone had to take care of you and you had to marry someone who, who was going to like hold it together. And it was kind of like me learning through this process that I didn't need anybody. Like I could hold it all together. I was kind of, living like a single woman, like in regards to like having to figure out my own stuff for my benefits and my income and how I was going to pay my rent. And it was kind of more like even learning, and it was a good dynamic for our marriage because as we went through it, it was kind of like, oh, like I want you to be here. I don't need you to be here.
Right.
Whereas a lot of the women who I grew up with, and like, it was like they had no choice. They were like painted into corners and they had to be there. They had kids. They were stay-at-home moms. And so I really like kind of, when I was in it, it wasn't so this like romantic picture I'm painting, but through it, I learned a lot about myself. And then I started getting back into photography because of it. Because I needed cash and I needed quick cash.
Yeah.
And I needed money fast to like kind of pay our bills. And also we had been accustomed to this lifestyle. And through that process, we ended up having to move from our apartment on the Upper West Side. We ended up selling had to give back the cars, like all the things like kind of happened during all of this. And I started doing photography again, doing headshots in the apartment, started shooting with DJs, and like DJs would hire me. So I'd be like working at the hospital. Then Friday night I'd leave work and go hang out with these DJs and
that's wild.
Shoot them and, follow them around, like these DJs from Miami and stuff. And they just kind of wanted the, kind of like what people do now with like Instagram and Reels. But now is like kind of like documenting the behind the scenes so they could show, oh, look, I was in New York this whole weekend. This is what happened, and kind of flex when they went back to Miami. But yeah, it got me back into photography, and it pulled me back into doing something that I sort of kind of abandoned.
Yeah.
And then I found myself, it was really, looking back at it, it was something that I needed for my own personal growth. And, but yeah, it wasn't easy. Like, and then I hit a point where I was like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, because it got to the point where I was doing it for like 10, 12 years. And also like that ride or die mentality, and that like, this is what I'm supposed to do, the good wife, like all the things I had to learn and kind of like move through with it.
Because you'd be like kind of scoffed at if you very quickly were like, you need to get a job and and pull your own weight. But it's like, but having the pressure of all the income for a couple, I think
in New York
crazy.
City is insane.
Anywhere, I think is crazy. Like that is one thing I throw to men. Is like they will just take that. They'll just deal with that pressure their whole life.
And that's something also that I think I have a lot of conversations about now, and has given me, the other perspective of it, so to speak. Because like at the time that this happened, Mad Men was a really popular show.
Oh, and I just started watching the show.
And I remember watching episodes of Mad Men, and I'd be like, man, I get Don Draper. He just wants to fucking go drink and not come home till tomorrow. Because that pressure of like, how am I going to keep this all together? I'm responsible for all of this. We don't have health insurance if it's not for me. We don't have a place to live. Like, we can't go back and live with our parents. Like, we didn't come from like a big safety net. We didn't come from anyone like, being like, don't worry, we got it. And then like, how are we going to pay? I mean, at one point, I think like at one point I was like, thank God for the stand, because like, I would be like, yo, can I get some eggs? And like, they would like give me a carton of eggs, like, because I was like, I don't get paid till Thursday. And I'm like, like at one point, like it was, kind of like rough and kind of like getting on our feet again. Yeah. So
but it's just
shout out to them for giving me eggs.
No, I mean, it's just interesting because it's like one thing of like, I love the love that you and Alexis have together.
Thank
like
you.
Being around the two of you, it's like, wow, these people really do.
We like each other.
Love each other. And also are very like, it's one of the only examples I've seen of men truly being their wife's cheerleader.
Yes.
Like we see it all the time with male comedians, especially. The woman is always in this like very supportive, going to the shows role, cheering them on. And it's like you never see the woman shine, or you never hear the man hyping his girl up about like whatever her thing is. So like with the two of you, it's like, I think that's a big thing a lot of us love when we see it. It's like, oh, they really are like kind of fully supporting each other, cheering each other on, ride or die for each other. Yeah,
we're very like two peas in a pod. And I think we're very, very lucky in the sense that I like to call it smothered independence, because like we both like being like smothered like with love and like attention and affection, but we're also two very independent people. And also like we've been together for a really long time. We've been married for 16 years. We've been together for 23, I think. So it's like this didn't happen overnight, right? You go through your ebbs and flows, and you have your rough spots, and you have your your cool calm sailing, and then you have your life events, and you have the rough things that come up, like someone losing a job, the death in the family, like the things that like hit you hard, or someone like I really wanted to make a career change. And that's when I started having frustration, because I'm like, I'm always thinking for the two of us. Yeah. And then at a certain point, I stopped thinking for me. and what would make me happy, because I was holding all of this together while simultaneously watching someone like follow their dreams and like watching those dreams take off, and me also aging.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you try to be a woman and age, that's a whole fucking fun situation.
Oh yeah.
But like aging at the same time and kind of being like, fuck, like, when is it going to be my turn? But then at the same time, right? Like, and this isn't me coming to all these realizations on my own. I've been in a lot of therapy. But like also at the same time, kind of being like, oh shit, you have to, if you now embrace this and you're going to put yourself out there, you could fail. It's very easy for me, not speaking for everyone, to hide behind the good wife. Because if I support Alexis, I look great in every room I enter in.
Right.
Wow, if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't be doing this. Oh my God, he's so lucky to have a wife like you. Oh my God, your wife is so great. Like, and then it's like, well, now it's my turn to like, and also I was always like, oh, when Alexis takes off, then I'll go become a photographer and I'll do this full time. And it's like, well, what if I suck?
Yeah.
You know, so it was a lot of like my own fears too, kind of, but it got to the point where I was like, I'm really unhappy in the job I'm in. I want to start taking more chances. I have all these ideas. I've been, you know, I want to push forward with maybe a business or something. Like, if we're not going to have kids, I also like don't just want to be your mom.
Yeah, no.
Like I want to, you know, do my own thing and kind of put some energy and effort into like what I would put into kids, into like whether it's a business or whether it's like a charity or even like whatever the fuck it was. Like,
or even just on a small scale, just
a hobby.
Money.
Yes.
Like if you just think, I actually have a coworker that just said this to me. She was like, if I get married and we decide we don't want to have kids, she goes, I want once a month we go somewhere, even like an easy weekend trip. She goes, because that is already less money than if we had fucking kids.
Yeah.
And the
like,
money we'd be spending on kids.
It's totally true. And like, I look at like, even the other day, I bought myself something and I was like watching the women at work, like plan summer camp. And they're like, oh, it costs this, it costs that. And I'm like, summer camp costs that much money?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, you can go buy yourself that because you don't have to send anyone to summer camp. Like, that's how I like rationalize it.
Yeah.
And then like around Christmas when they're buying Christmas toys, I'm like, you can buy yourself a Christmas present because you don't have to buy kids any toys.
Exactly.
Like, I do use it a lot, probably too much to like rationalize things. But yeah.
No, it's like, it's the time that you can be selfish.
Yeah.
You know? Because it is like, you're not thinking we, or also like, yeah, if there's no one else looking at my credit card, then I can have a high spending month. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, because it's on me to get it back down. And
right, I'm the one.
And no one else is checking in like, how the fuck did this just up $500?
And I think like when you say like about Alexis and I having a good relationship and stuff, I think for a long time, I wanted someone to just kind of, I wish I had for a long time, I wanted someone to kind of say to me, go do whatever you wanted. I got you, and be the safety net for me. Cause like, whether it was like, go try photography, go throw spaghetti against the wall, see what sticks, all these ideas you have, go try them. You're going to be okay. Go run and do that. And I felt like if I had like, I knew doing that for Alexis kind of like, I don't know, in a way kind of felt very good to me. And also like I also knew he wasn't going to go do these things unless someone was like, I got you. I got your back.
Right.
And so, yeah, we do that for each other in this way. Like, as long as like we believe in one another, like we kind of don't care if everybody else understands it. We're very good at like shutting down and being in our own little world and being like, no, I understand why you're doing this. Go ahead and do it.
Well, especially you're close with your family.
Yeah.
And it's like that I almost feel like is almost the biggest obstacle. Of being like, okay, my husband got laid off and he's going to go pursue this creative art.
It was wildly hard for my family. And it actually created a lot of friction between me and my family.
Well, it's already hard for a lot of women to just like, no shade to teachers, but this is just an example of like, if I was dating a teacher and I'm like, I'm going to marry this guy, there would definitely be people in your family that's kind of like, okay, well, they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's like always the first thing that's thrown at any woman with any man she's looking at marrying.
Yeah. And then I kind of like flipped the script and I was like, well, you taught me I could do this all on my own. That I like you made me like this.
Yeah.
Like you taught me to never be painted into a corner. You always taught me to make my own money. You always taught me to stand on my own. So it's like, and who am I? Like, and then at one point, my mom had said to me, what's the stop date on this? And I go, the stop date on what? And she's like, the stop date on him like doing this. And I said to her, I go, you know, how, and I'm also like, you know, I'm a very like, look at the whole thing kind of person. And I said, well, what if I was like pursuing photography or I was doing something, I go, and he came and said that to me. I go, what would your feelings be on that?
Yeah.
And I was like, you'd fucking you'd want to kill him. You'd be pissed at him to be like, how dare he tell my daughter I can't do this. You know what I mean? So it's like, But yeah, it got to the point where like we had to also have conversations because I'm like, this is 10 years of doing this. I gotta like, I'm going to have a lot of regrets. And also like, I'm starting to get resentful and I don't want this to now impact our marriage. Cause I could feel myself getting resentful and I could feel like the undertone of it but then I also had to like go and sit down and drill down on like, am I resentful towards you? Am I resentful towards me? Cause also like I created this, right? I said, go ahead and do this. I got your back. I never said for 5 years, for 10 years until you can do like,
yeah, because it's, first of all, you're like, I believe in you.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. You're like, I truly believe in you. I think you're a smart person. I think you'll figure it out, whatever the thing is, right? Or just the fact that you're a hard enough worker. Like when you bust your ass at something, it's like, you're going to make some strides, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, there's a combo of that, but also it's like, it's totally reasonable to just go, okay, now I'm kind of drowning. Or now I have something I want to go pursue, which means I need to cut back my hours at the hospital.
And I was drowning, and that's a really good way to surmise it. And I was drowning, but the problem was because I come from this culture and this, I don't know if you want to call it 90s ride or die, New Jersey, whatever you want to label it.
I think it's Italian, New Jersey,
Italian.
honestly.
Like
yeah. I'm Italian, Fonzie's Italian. I'm like, I'm very ride or die.
I was very much like, don't let them see you sweat.
Oh,
I got this. Don't, because then it was like at this point where I was like, well, people are going to think you're weak if you can't hold it all together, if you can't keep this going.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to even like say I'm drowning. And I was getting to the point where I was drowning and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And it was like, when I tell you it was like a fucking shock to his system, because he was like, I never knew you didn't want to do, you kind of just, he goes, you just like did it. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't do it. Like, and until I said it out loud, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, and I was very honest with him. I'm like, I'm so afraid that you're going to think like, I can't hack it. And, you know, and then also at the same time, like my therapist, who's amazing, was like, you know, you kind of also gave a 17-year-old a credit card and told them that they don't have a curfew. And now you're kind of saying, now you have to be home at 8:00. You have to make the bed. Yeah. She's like, so also like, you got to see, you know, and tell them your allowance is $15 a week. You know what I mean? So she's like, you also, in fairness to him, you can't just like throw this like, this is how it is now, you know, kind of thing. Cause she's like, there is going to be like a lot of friction because of this. So she's like, you've kind of like allowed this for so long too, that just so you know, like when you kind of have these conversations and all this comes in, he's going to be like, where the fuck is this coming from? And she was right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he actually mentioned that on our episode. He's like, I didn't realize she was struggling so much until she finally said something. And I was like, oh. Yeah, but also it came from his confidence in you. Yeah. He was like, she's got it. Yeah. Like, he was like, no, we'll be good. Yeah, she's got it. She's taking it over. She knows what she's doing. Yeah, yeah. I believe her.
And I was like, I need a partner right now. I need, you know, like I need someone to like, I need a helping hand. And then I don't even think I realized how burnt out I was until like I kind of like leaned into all of it and really like kind of came undone. And I did. I came like really undone. And I'm very grateful to my husband for giving me space to do that. And also like, I don't want to say allowing because I'm sure people get, but like allowing me to kind of like figure out, because I had been like so much in this space of like what I thought I was supposed to be that I didn't even know who the fuck I was. And I felt like in my core and in my heart and in my soul, like I knew who I was, but I went so far into like what everybody expected from me that like I kind of needed to like again, like throw spaghetti. Like I knew it was going to get like a little like, I'm going to be like, yeah, I want to like figure myself out. And I don't know, like I wanted to have this business, but I don't know if that's what I really want. And maybe I'm going to try it and it's going to fucking suck and be hard. And he's like, go try. And as someone who, and thank God, right? We talk about like the path and experiences. Like, thank God he had been a comic. Because he's like, being a comic, like I'm not talking about the shit I was talking about 5 years ago. You do open mics. I thought I wanted to do this. You think you want to do food. Now I'm talking about soccer. So because he had been through that himself with his own like journey of self-discovery, he was like, no, I got you. Yeah. And he's like, go ahead. Like, I know what it's like. And he's like, you created that space for me when I was trying to figure out, because he started doing like improv and like comedy and like trying to figure, then he was doing acting and I'm like, you're going to be a fucking actor now? Like, but it was like, I was like, I can't handle acting now. Like I get bad enough of doing this comedy thing with you. Like I can't handle acting. And, but he was like, you created and held that space for me. I mean, Alexis did not use any of these words, but I created and held that space for him. And then when it was like my go, he was like, go ahead. Right. I'm going to hold this space for you while you kind of like figure this shit out. And also as someone who's never even given yourself permission to do this.
Well, this is, I feel like often when married couples not necessarily get divorced, but they
either get divorced or they become very, very close.
Right.
You know, it's true.
It's essentially the part where you just change as people.
And
some changes you can't stay compatible for.
Right. And you're saying out loud, I'm I don't want to be that anymore. And I know that's who you're in love with, or this is who but also like and this is like you're saying, this is the part where you either get divorced or you stay together because your partner and yourself realize I'm growing and changing. Mm-hmm. Are we going to do this together and let this happen?
Yeah.
And also we don't know what this looks like, but I know that I love you and like, you know, all of that.
Or sometimes it's wanting them to change.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's the thing of having kids and the person going, no, you can stay home with the kids.
Well, and that was another thing. Like I was coming to grips with kind of like mourning the fact that like I didn't think we were going to have children and, you know, going through that and us having to have those conversations. Like, are we going to have them? And if we're not going to have them, you know, like, then I want to do something. I just don't want to sit here and like kind of watch you take on life. Like I want to take on life too. Can you handle that? Can you know, like, I don't know what I want to do yet. And he was like, you know, just don't be a comedian because it's the worst. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be a comedian.
Well, it's so funny of like, you know.
He's like, you're going to just be so sad.
Yeah. But so much like dating advice I've talked on this or, you know, therapists, whoever, like it's very like, you got to know what your deal breakers are. You got to know what you're looking for, right? And a big thing is kids. Yeah. And I'm someone that I'm like, if I have the financial means to do it, I want kids. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm not going to make myself get married younger to have them. Yeah. So I'm truly an in the middle person.
I was a very much in the middle person too. And I think I wanted him so badly to make the decision for us because it's easier. And then like through this time in our lives, like we had those and they're hard conversations you have to have. And he's like, I feel like you want me to make this decision. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, but I had to say that out loud. Like, yeah, I want you to make this decision. And then I had to really sit with myself and be like, do you want children? What does this mean? What would you regret more not going after dreams and creativity and things, or would you regret not having children more? Like, what would you know? And then also like, I had to come to just fucking realization and look yourself in the mirror and be like I'm wildly selfish. Like, but also like,
I mean, everyone is before kids, honestly.
No, but also like, I'm like, am I like, does this fit the lifestyle? Where do you see this lifestyle for yourself going? Like, what do you want? And like, let's be fucking realistic. Because also like, I also didn't want to have kids and like ruin my marriage because my marriage was the most important thing to me. Right. So I'm like, if our marriage is going to be like this and it's going to be cool and we're going to like each other and there's no kids, I'd rather this.
Yeah, you're like, this is pretty good. Yeah. We don't have to mess with this part.
Yeah, but then also let's figure out the things that are going to keep us both happy.
Right, but then it's also this thing too of like, there's two things of like with dating, it's like I always kind of wondered like, well, I might fall in love with a guy who like not necessarily doesn't want kids, but like would not be a good dad. And people are like, you really think you would fall in love with someone like that? And I'm like, well, some people have messed up relationships in their own family and having kids terrifies them. Yeah. And they don't really have that drive
I think it terrifies my husband.
Which is a fair thing to say. Yeah, there's plenty of people.
But at least he's very self-aware and he's like, I'm not going to lie to you. And he's been very like open from but then again, we got together when we were 18. So it's like, who the fuck knew what we really wanted? You think the idea, and that's what I'm saying with this growth thing and what we were going through, because he was getting to a point where he was like, this life I want, when I started coming out and kind of saying, hey, this is what I'm kind of going through. I think I want to do a little bit more stuff, like I'll put myself a little bit out there more. And up until this point, I was someone who never even put a selfie on Instagram. And now I'm like the queen of selfies.
Yeah, you've really flipped that around. You are one of my favorite Instagram followers, by the way. Which plug your handle right now. What is it again?
It's at D shoots it, DEE shoots it. And then I have the Donnas, which is at the .DONAS.
It's very fun.
Thank you. I have fun on Instagram and I love it. And I love, I think it's so cool that we have everything to make a little movie in our hands. And it's like, why wouldn't you go who cares if anybody's watching? I don't care if anybody's watching it.
It's just a fun, that's what young children are on TikTok that don't have followers. They're just every day creating TikToks and it's the most fun thing to do.
And I remember when I'm aging myself, but when we got a camcorder, I was like making all these movies and I would be like documenting our thing. And I always love like behind the scenes concert, like documentary videos. And I always love the behind the scenes of things more than, and that's kind of like when I was a photographer and really more into photography, that's what I used to shoot. I'd shoot behind the scenes. That's what interests me. I'm not interested in the finished product because it's so polished. I'm really someone who like as an artist is very into the flaws. I want to know what got you to this polished point. Like I like to know the process of things. I like to see the rough cut. I like to see like, oh, I'm going to make the decision to fix this. But also I'm also someone that once I figure out the process and like I get something nice and polished, I'm like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Because I'm a process person.
Happens.
So like
it happens.
But yeah, that's
but it's hard to I think kids are the hardest thing to like fully pursue dreams once you have them. Yeah. Like I was dating someone and it didn't work out. And then one of the things that made me like kind of okay with it not working out is I was like, well, if you really married this guy, the providing financially was going to be more on me than them.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, and I kind of was like, do I want that role the rest of my life?
Yeah.
It's fully going to be on me.
Pressure.
And basically I will never be allowed to kind of just quit my day job.
Yeah.
And have those,
and that's
have
where
a year
I
or two
like,
where I get to fully pursue something.
And I wanted like a year or two to fully pursue something. And then I also, I wanted the capacity to be like, if I had a bad day, to be like, fuck this. And I never had that.
Yeah.
And at one point, like, it got so bad in my mind, like, and I can't believe I'm even saying this out loud, but like, I started being like, well, like, what if something happened where I had to like take 6 weeks to 8 weeks off from work? Like, nothing like where I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But like, I just wanted like a reprieve so badly that I was like, well, maybe I get like mono or something and I got to like take off 6 weeks and then I could just like rest and chill. And like, that's how burnt out. And it's like when you're kind of daydreaming about getting sick so you can take 6 weeks off from work, like, and still get paid for it. Like, that something's wrong. Like, you got to ask yourself, like, why am I? But I was just so burnt out and I was so exhausted and I just wanted to be taken care of.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing. I think like part of this, my issue that I had to work through in therapy was like, I wanted someone to come in and save the day so badly. And I was putting so much pressure on him to do that. And then when I realized like nobody's coming to save the day for me, it was one of the biggest realizations I had. But it was also, why am I putting so much pressure on him?
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on him too.
Oh, for sure.
To come in here and be like, okay, cool. Now you don't have to work anymore. And then I'm like, and then I like really like drilled down. And again, therapy is a wonderful thing. My therapist was like, say he gets $1 million deal tomorrow. She's like, are you going to allow him to like give you an allowance? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, no. The answer is no. Right. That's why. But that's.
I'm like, no. I'm never gonna like have conditional money. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but that's like, also just a form of like truly trusting and loving someone.
Yeah,
is like, you know, they would treat you that way too, and also just you just trust. You're like, yeah, I don't think he's gonna blow all of my money.
No, but I also know he would do that. Like, his goal would be like, I hope I can get on and get so big that you can go do whatever you want.
Yep.
But this with me, I'm like, yeah, that probably lasts for 2 or 3 months. But like, I'm the type of person who has to make my own money.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
I'd have to go and like make. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to take this like money you're giving me, and I'm going to go make a business,
right?
Because I just want like, I don't know, like historically and as a child and cultural, I've just seen too many people get painted into corners, and I always want to be able to like, I don't know,
something.
have my freedom.
Yeah, but it's also just an outlet of like, this is my thing.
Yeah,
having your own
nobody
thing
can take away
in a relationship.
Yeah, you have to have your own identity in a relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's so important.
By the way, we're at a half hour. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. We got some questions from other things we discussed.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no more about this.
I'm like, we don't have to talk about your husband the whole time. Okay, so you said one of the questions people always say to you is, how do you stay married for so long?
I told you that I was like, I've been writing a lot, and on my wedding anniversary, I woke up that morning and I wrote this like thing about like a journal entry or whatever about that. And I think it's because I didn't put so much pressure on. I don't know the answer. People will tell you it's communication. Like, I think it's like maintaining your individuality while also having consideration for the other person in your life.
Yeah.
You have to be, this two becomes one shit. It's cute for a little bit because like I did it. And then it can't, like you met as two individuals.
Yeah.
And you got to like figure out how to like keep your individuality while also keeping like, I don't want to say the rules, but kind of like I don't know, what's going to keep you in harmony, right? Like, we have certain things where it's like, don't cheat on me, don't do this, don't do that. Like, and then it's kind of like, but go ahead and do you. You know what I mean? That kind of like, you got to have like your thing that, you know, the both of you would not be cool with. But then you also got to like, you got to maintain who you are, but also grow and have the ability to allow the other person to become different, like change.
Yeah.
Because like, that's what happens in longevity. That's what happens over time. Like, I'm not who I was 5 years ago. I'm not who I was before this pandemic.
Right.
You know, like, I've changed so much in 2 years. So has he. Your views change. The things change. Like, you age, how you feel about things, how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem. Like, I mean, after being a nurse in a pandemic, like, there's not much you can tell. Like,
yeah,
I went to work when everyone stayed home. What are you going to tell me?
Yeah.
I can't go sell my fucking jewelry at a hair salon? Okay. Like, you're going to judge me for it? Cool. Like, you know what I mean?
You should
like,
show up in your scrubs, by the way, when you make those pitches.
Yeah.
I
like,
would.
It's like, what, you know, like, I don't know. Like, you're going to tell me, like, what is she doing now? It's like, I don't know. I just survived, like, the worst time in our lives.
Yeah.
Collectively.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so yeah, I think you have to like maintain your individuality, allow that person to maintain your individuality, know your parameters, know your like you said, your hard like things that are going to like piss you off and or play on your insecurities or like your past traumas or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like know your love language because you're two totally different people. Like Alexis likes quality time and he likes me to, you know, things that he likes are not the same as me. Like, and he likes touch. He loves like me being by him and it drives me insane. And because he'll be like, just come here and lay with me. And I'm like, I don't want to lay with you. I've got so much shit to do. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm also like words of affirmation and stuff like that. And like, and I'm like loose with the love languages because it's like heavy, like religion based and like the words they use and stuff. Like, but like just kind of knowing
it's the number one thing you want your partner to do.
Yeah. And it's like,
what's the thing you miss the most if they don't do it?
Like, I want you to text me and tell me that I look hot. I want you to tell me that you're thinking about me. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to like say this stuff to me. He could care less if I ever told him that he was good looking.
Yeah.
But if I don't hold his hand, he's like, oh, are you upset? Why aren't you holding my hand?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. Because like we're out in the street and I don't want to bump into someone. And, you know, like he'll take that more personally. Where if he doesn't like hold my hand, like, I'm like, cool, I could be on my phone.
Okay. Well, I was going to say one of the things you told me when we were just like talking was basically you were like, a lot of people in relationships stop doing what they were doing at the beginning of the relationship that got the other person in the first place.
Yeah, I think.
And so a lot of times it's what, for men, it's like little courting things. Would you
like
say?
taking people out on, like, I think when men are like going out, and I do also think it's like kind of like, I think part of the reason why I'm like kind of good at this marriage thing is because I never wanted to do it. So like, I don't put so much pressure on it to like be like, I'm a wife. This is like, you know, I'm kind of like a little more like, cool, this is still working. Great.
Or you're even more so, I would say, you're even more so like, hey, this is what I need. Because you're like, I didn't even really want to be here.
Like, you tricked
me. So if you
me.
want to keep me
I
here.
tell it all the time. Like, you tricked me into being a wife. How'd you do this? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't know how you did this. I never wanted any of this. I was like, I would have been dating you forever. Like, engagement is the greatest thing ever. Why are we all rushing to get married? Being engaged, everyone takes you out to dinner. They like love the fact that like, they're like, can we go for drinks to celebrate your engagement? Yeah, let's do it. No one does that once you get married, for the record. Okay? Yeah,
they're like, good luck.
Yeah. No, like, I feel like a lot of people stop, like, when I was dating him, I put in, and I'm a very big fan of Esther Perel, and I don't know, like, she may get canceled in 5 years, and like, I have no idea what's going to happen to her down the road. But right now, like, she's helped me a lot figure things out. And one of the things she says is that you have to see your partner through other people's eyes. And
she's like, a little jealousy is good.
Yeah, a little it is good. And I'm someone who like, I do like it. Like, you know, I like seeing him kind of interact with other people. And I'm like, oh, that's my husband. That's my man. Like, whatever. And I'm like, good luck. You're really putting in work over there, girl. But he's coming home with me. But you know what I mean? But also I won't shut it down. I'm kind of like,
but there's something about a little fear that someone might take your man.
Makes you step your game up.
That makes you step your game up.
And there's also a lot of fear
1000%.
when someone may take your girl.
Oh, yeah.
Where you step your game up.
Oh, yeah.
You really, and that's what I think, like, when I was dating him, I mean, I would come, like, correct. You know what I mean? Like, I would be like, it's fantasy. And I think also that is also the other problem. Like, I have friends right now who one friend of mine has never farted in front of her significant other. They've been together for a really long time. And I'm like, wild. How do you do this? I'm like, because you're just setting, I feel like women, sometimes we set it up for like, my legs are not always going to be shaved. Like, I'm not always like, I'm going to wake up looking real gnarly.
Yeah.
I wear retainers. I wear frownies. Like, I sleep like a frat boy. Like, I take up the whole bed. Like, I need like the pillows. I don't care if I have sheet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a mess. Like, sometimes I'm like, we're two frat kids. Like, when I look at the house, sometimes I'm like, wow, this is not like, if anyone saw this, they would be, but I think sometimes we create too much like fantasy that like both of you are setting yourselves up for disappointment, right? Because like, it's hard to have a full-time fucking job and like always like be perfectly exfoliated and like have the toes done and like whatever you do to kind of like, and the matching lingerie. Like, I think like now we have a joke, like if my underwear and bra match, like I'll like walk into like wherever he is and I'm like, look, I'm a grown up today. And he'll, like, I'm like, I'm a real girl, like, and like we think it's hilarious because I'm like, that hasn't happened since we dated, or like we go on vacation and like, or like it's a special, or I'm trying to like put the moves on or whatever. But
it's interesting though, because that's literally just the dressing up thing is such a thing I see with my parents. My mom always, like, if they're going somewhere, is like put together and not necessarily crazy dressed up, but just like the outfit's always cute.
Yeah, so
it's ironed, hair's done,
little
makeup
done.
on, right? Like, and she's not an over the top. You wouldn't look and go, oh, gaudy, like, too done up, right? But and my dad is like always the fucking opposite. He's always like, why can't I just be in my sweats, right?
Yeah.
And so she started...
I got my good sweatshirt on.
Yeah, but she started egging me and my sister to be like, you go tell your dad that doesn't look nice for where we're going. She's like, because I always say it and he doesn't do it. And I've started to get frustrated with him sometimes because I'm like, look at her. I'm like, she always looks like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, she's literally being like, just wear this other shirt.
But even guys, like when, like, and guys will, because I'm not putting all this on, trust me, I'm not the one to put anything on women. Yeah. Guys will, like, the way that they court us, like, y'all go hard and then you stop because like you think like this marriage is like winning this race and it's not. It's like starting a marathon. Yeah. And it's like all the things you do to like that. Like, I mean, I know guys, like even my friends, like I'm always like the person everybody reaches out to, like for restaurants, and they'll be like, "Oh, D, we're, I'm dating this new girl. Where could I take her that's going to impress her?" And I'll be like, "Oh, you should take her for drinks here, and then you should take her for dinner here, and you could take her to this place." And like I told someone the other day, they were like, he was like wanted to take her someplace for her birthday, and I was like, "Oh, you should like go to Bite, like that's the lip bar." Yes. And I was like, "Get her like a custom made lipstick," and he's like, "Oh my god, that's fucking genius." Blah blah blah. The moment they get married or like they move in, this all stops because like they don't have to do it. And that's why we get frustrated because we're like, yeah, I dress up for you if like you were taking me someplace like you used to.
Yes, that's the number one thing.
It's like, I don't sit like, and also like how many times like guys will be like, all right, come on, let's go out tonight. And then like after you've been in the relationship for a while, and then they'll be like, all right, so where do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't want to plan this whole fucking thing. Yeah. I want to have the fantasy again. I want to have.
And most guys are like, I will go and do date night, but just
tell me what to
put
do.
It on my calendar. Just tell me what to wear. Tell me where we're going. You're like, that's not the point.
And then also in my case, right? Like a lot of my male friends, I'm the one who's been planning these dates. Yep. And then what'll end up happening is like when we get in serious relationships, right? We don't want our significant, especially like in my situation, like you don't want significant others like texting other women, right? But then it's like, that bitch was the one who was fucking planning all these dates.
Yeah.
Get her back in.
Yeah.
Start texting. It's like, why are you texting her so much? Why are you texting her so much? Not knowing like, like she's been planning every date we've been on for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm not allowed to text girls. So now it's all on him. And it's like, yeah, he's not going to do, So I think like, we both stopped doing what we do. And I think, I've been guilty of it too, where because you can't keep it up.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you know what I told my mom once?
What?
I was like, I mean, you should just start dressing how he dresses. I was like, he'll notice real quick of kind of like, oh, that's what you're wearing.
It's funny you say that because I told my girlfriend the other day, she was like, he's going out so late and it's really annoying me. And I've been fighting with him and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's just, it's not going to win. Like you can scream at him, dudes are dudes. No offense to the dude in the room. But I said to her, I was like, you should start going out.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? I was like, just get up and get dressed and look fucking phenomenal. I go, I don't care if you have to go sit in your car.
Yeah.
Like you just
go take a nap at your mom's house. Right. He won't know.
Yeah, he'll never know.
He'll only know what you look like when you left.
Like, but they used to be like, where's she going? Why she looks so good? And like, just instead of yelling at, like, just go, like, fire but meets fire. I don't know if that's healthy relationship advice.
No,
that's very Italian Jersey advice.
But what's funny is like, this is often a move women do like right before they get the commitment. Like they're dating a guy and they feel like, I feel like he's out with someone else. It's like, that's when they hit up their girls and they're like, we're getting dressed up. We're going to the club. We're uploading shit on Instagram. Yeah. So he knows I was out looking like this around other men.
Or it's like, hey, Thursday, you tell them on Thursday, like, hey, we're going to Miami. This weekend, well, I'll be back Sunday. No big deal. And they're like, wait, what? Where'd this whole trip come from? You know what I mean? Like, well, we haven't gone anywhere. Yeah. Recently, you haven't taken. So I figured I'd go away with my girlfriends. And like, I don't know if any of this is healthy advice, but yeah, it's like,
no, but there's something to it.
But if you've been screaming at someone for 3 months and they're, because they're going out late, then just fucking go out late yourself. Yeah. Let them see, like, sometimes you have to like mirror, I think, and let people see like, hey, I'm going to just do what you're doing.
Yeah. Or leave.
Date
someone else.
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing.
Yeah.
That's always the thing I feel like that gets men is like if I bring something up and they're kind of like, yeah, I don't, they give you some roundabout excuse and I just go, all right, yeah, I mean, you can do that. I'm like, but I don't have to stay here and put up with it.
Yeah, like I have a friend who like her significant other was like, oh, I want to see other people and like, be like more open in this relationship. And she got very, I would, if that was my own situation, I wouldn't be, I'd be upset too. And she got like really upset. And she goes, I don't know what to say to him. And I go, well, did you ask him, are you going to be cool with me seeing other people? I was like, because if this is just a one-way thing, no. But like, and she goes, well, I don't want to see other people. And I'm like, I get that, but you have to at least ask that, because you have to show the person like, if you're going to be doing this, I'm also going to be doing this. If you're not going to be cool with that, then like, why is this cool for you to just do?
Yeah. I feel like I've always been very good at that in relationships, literally because I have a brother, we're a year apart and he was older. But because he was a boy, there would often like be these little advantages my dad would suddenly give him. And I would always be right there. Like, so then I get to do that too.
Yeah.
And it, like my whole life I've always been like, what's he's going on vacation with someone? I'd like, right. I have a note in my phone and I have everything written that my brother was like allowed to do with like girlfriends and stuff. Cause I was like, my day's coming.
Yeah.
My day's coming and I get to go down the shore with just my boyfriend and I'm not in trouble.
Yeah.
And, or now I get to share a bed too. Marcus shares a bed.
I know,
like,
the sharing the bed thing. I know.
It's such a thing. I remember the first time it happened, we were like, oh, this is happening in the house, sharing the bed.
And they're over there.
Sharing the bed.
Yeah.
27 years old.
And then like
finally
you're
allowed.
talking and you're like, don't let them think we're having sex. Like, and you're like, I don't know. Yeah, I know. It's like, oh,
I get to do it. Like, it's already a thing. Like, my dad's like, no. And I'm like, well, no, it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm like, Marcus does it. So it's happening. I'm like, get ready. It's coming up.
But yeah, I think we like all need to like continue to arrive for each other and, like court each other and do the things that like, I'm not saying it has, where it wears you down or wears you out, but I think like, I like going on dates. I like having something planned for me. Like you did that for how many years that we were dating and then it stops.
Yeah.
Like that's not cool.
Man, I even think about that with friendships of like, I'm always often the planner friend. The one that reaches out is like, hey, you want to get this? Hey. And I've started with friends being like, you know what? I never hear from this motherfucker. And I've just stopped inviting them to stuff. Because I'm like, you know what? If you want to see me, I'll hear from you.
Yeah.
And or like with the pandemic, I think it was very eye-opening for a lot of people. They were like, oh, wow, all those people I thought were my friends are not. They are just acquaintances I run into. Yeah. And you run into them so often, they feel like friends because you talk, you hang, like, oh, it was so fun.
And I also think coming like to the realization that just certain friends are the role. Like I always kind of have this like thing where I'm like, there are some people you call who are the good time friends. There are some people you call who are the bad time friends. And then there are the people in the middle. And like, I think the people in the middle are like the real friends.
Yes.
Because it's like they can ride the good times with you. They can be there for the bad times. And they have the capacity to kind of like arrive in both situations and like celebrate. But there's friends you just call when you have a good time. And they're really good at having a good time.
Right.
You break up with your boyfriend. You're like, yo, I need to go out. I need to party. Let's go fucking do this.
Yep.
And then you have friends who like when you're crying and you're on the floor because you broke up with your boyfriend, they're the ones who can sit with you and like handle that. But they're not going to be the one who's like, all right, come on, Erica, put on a good outfit. Let's go.
Yeah. It's literally like,
they're like, what do you mean you're going out now?
Yeah. I know. Well, yeah. Well, it's literally like, it's like when people go, oh, I like going out and staying in. It's like, that is every person.
Yeah.
We all like to be out sometimes. We all like to stay in sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, who is the companion, whether it be friendship or dating, that you want to do both of the things with?
Yeah. And also like, that's kind of like in your relationship to like, that's like something in our relationship. Cause like we both like to go out and we both like to have our time alone, but our time alone. And like when I talked about before about that smothered independence, our time alone is alone. And I've had to learn to let him know this has nothing to do with you. Yeah. I'm not mad at you. I don't want to not be around you. I just have a battery that needs to be refueled right now. And the only way I can refuel it is by being completely alone. Maybe I have to go on vacation by myself. Maybe I need to go to the woods for the weekend alone. Maybe you just need to go out tonight and have a great night with your boys. Yeah. I don't care what time you come home. The later, the better. I need to like sit here and just be like in quiet. And like, because of that, I end up being a better person for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
1,000%.
Yeah. And like, I think, but you have to be able to like communicate that and let someone know like, this isn't about you. This is like, all kind of me right now.
And I feel like a lot of us especially have that when you have those upset days. There are sometimes when I'm upset that I'm like, I need to, just be around someone and not be in this cloud. And then there's other times that I'm like, I need to shut the world out for like a day.
And a lot of times when you're with a significant other, they don't mirror.
No.
So like he'll be on a high and be like, I just signed a contract for my podcast. And I'm like, I would really like to be alone tonight. And he wants to go and like drink till 2 a.m. and like go do karaoke, like have a crazy wild night. And like, I'm like, I was thinking of staying in tonight and just, like laying in bed and watching YouTube videos and I'm cool, So like trying to figure out how to arrive for one another in those moments too. Sometimes you gotta like turn it, like I'm not in the greatest of moods, but like he's having a win.
Yeah.
I gotta I got a rally and I got to arrive, you know?
Yeah, because that's a big thing. That's also the cheerleader thing is like, that's when you really have to separate your own emotions. And I feel like that's the thing that men are the worst at is like, they'll be having a bad day and you have a good day and they want to bring down your good day. And it's like, no. We had a good thing. You need to be cheerleader.
Or
celebrate
just
me right now.
let me be and let me go be with my cheerleader people.
Just don't bring it down.
Yeah.
You can't bring it down.
Don't pull me down right now.
But often, like, when you have, like, a success of some kind and an achievement of some kind, that's always when, and I think both people feel this, but men just sit there and go, oh, I feel like I didn't have this thing.
Well,
like
I thought we were going to stay in tonight.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I'm going to fucking live it up.
No, it's tough. I was like, before we wrap, I do have to get to, we gave you a shout out on an episode.
Yeah.
You gave some photography tips, and it was to basically always look like a little sweaty in your photos.
So I read this article that men, if you're trying to attract men, this is, they like you a little sweat, like, and I guess this is why the Playboy, is a Playboy, right? The swimsuit issue is one of the best selling issues
just
because everybody has the wet hair and the wetness on them, and guys are very much attracted to like wet hair and that post shower look or that post sweat look for some reason. I don't know why, but I started doing it on like my Instagram just to test it, like to see if I got more likes on a photo and things like that. And then people who follow me started doing it. And for some reason I don't know. But if you think about it, like if you're in a relationship with a dude, like when do they want to fuck you the most? Like usually when you come out of the shower.
Or after a workout.
Yeah.
Which is what Palufo and I talked about.
Yeah, and you're like,
and there's
so
a mix of like smell from the pheromones and the actual sweat.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah, but it's weird because it's like you can put on the hottest outfit and be totally dressed up and like, do your makeup 100%. They don't really give a shit.
No. Yeah, it's like that'll catch their eye and they'll think you're hot.
Yeah, but
I feel like sometimes it's almost
out
like
the shower, I feel like he's more turned on.
Well, okay, but then there's also this thing too, and I think these are kind of correlated. They've done studies and it's like men are typically more attracted and like wanting to fuck women that have like curlier hair or wavier hair.
Yes, I believe that.
But there's something to almost like, not that curly hair looks messy, but it's as opposed to like a straight and very structured, it's more flowy and free. And so there's almost something to like, oh, I can fuck that. Like we're already in like free, flowy mode.
Is it because it looks more like a porn?
I don't know, but
it's like tossed, like it's hair that's like
it's almost already
like
tousled. Like if we fucked
hair.
And your hair got all tousled around, no one would know.
Yeah.
So it's almost like maybe she'd be more down to do it as opposed to like your hair straight, you straightened it, and like if they saw you like blow dry it situation. And I think maybe that's also correlated to like the wet hair out of the shower. It's like, oh, she don't have makeup on. She does like her hair's not done.
I've also learned that a lot because I've been talking to a lot of men about things and like dating and stuff and like for my podcast and whatnot. And a lot of men have told me that smell is so important to them. That they, if you have a distinct smell, like in regards to like perfume or something, they'll like think about you like after you're not around them. Like the smell really, like the smell is more than the outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, or how you look. Because I think a lot of times, I don't know, women of my generation, I can't speak for everybody, but like my generation of women thinks like we think we're dressing for men, but we're not.
Yeah, no,
and I'm talking like, over 38, like for my generation. But like I think we just dress for like other women, I think. A lot of times.
It's a toss-up.
And
New York is such a trendy town that I feel like all of us succumb to whatever the trend is at the moment.
Yeah.
Like little fucking shit, like herringbone chain necklaces right now. Right? Men are not like, you don't show up, they're like, whoa, herringbone chain.
Yeah, wow, look, like, she's got it.
Yeah, like if anything, I feel like men just more notice, they go, everybody has that.
Yeah.
And it like not necessarily makes you less attractive, but they're just kind of like, oh, you're being like everybody else. Like,
yeah.
But you want to talk manipulative stuff? Scent shit is really where you can
scent shit
get
you really,
to people.
Yeah,
like spray your shit on their stuff.
Yeah, or just like like scent really
does.
does.
I had male roommates, and I sprayed a perfume I had on, and I don't even wear a lot, and it's like in my hair. And I walk in the living room, and my male roommate was like, "Are you wearing da-da-da perfume?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "My ex wore that." And it was like this sadness came over him.
Well, it's funny because I read an article one time where I forgot who they interviewed, but they interviewed someone, and he had said that his ex-girlfriend used to wear this one scent, and he said he was on like a solo trip. Like he was an actor, and he was like, I went on this solo trip to India, and he's like in the middle of India on some train in like 80-degree weather. It was so sweaty, and he's like, everyone was like stinking because he's like, we was 80 degrees and we're on this like packed train, and he's like, it was like an overnight train or something. He's like, no one like had showered in 24 hours. And he's like, all of a sudden this woman walks through and he's like, she had the same perfume as my ex. And he's like, it was so floral. And he's like, in the middle of this train in India, he's like, where I hadn't thought about this woman for like 5 years. He's like, I was sitting there in all of that, like, oh my, he's like, I could not stop thinking about her. He's like, because it brought me like right back. And he's like, it would be the last place on earth I would even think to like think about her.
Yeah.
But he's like, but because of that smell and that woman who was on the train wearing that perfume, he's like, and it was just so distinct. And it's crazy because it's like, yeah, it can bring you. And he's like, it brought me right back to our whole relationship.
Ooh. Yeah, it's almost like, so I should just pick one sentence, stick with it the whole time. It's like what I'm thinking. I have a couple I rotate, and I'm almost like,
I have a few I rotate. I have some for special occasions. I have what I asked my husband to do when we got married was I asked him to do whatchamacallit. I asked him to buy me a perfume. We each bought each other a scent.
Yeah, so that you like on the other person.
On the other person.
Yeah.
And so he bought me a perfume, of course, that they ended up only releasing every so many years by Yves Saint Laurent, and now I can't ever get it again. But you know, whatever. So
and then the last thing I wanted to ask you about is you have a theory about like men taking pictures.
Oh,
like there's a reason they don't take good pictures of ourselves, which my theory is men take bad pictures because they hate having to take pictures.
I think they hate having to take pictures. And I also think I think there's this little thing there that they don't want. Like, I don't know. Whenever my husband posts a photo of me, it's not a great photo. And I think like, I don't know, like, I think one is like, I'll joke with him and I'll be like, do you just want to be like, oh, she doesn't look good all the time? This is what I see. Like, you know what I mean? Like, go on her site. She's lying to all of you. Like, she doesn't look, you know, like that's the best. That's the best of over there.
I'm a damn good husband. I stay with her when she looks like this.
I'm like, are you trying to like get people to not be attracted to me? Like with these photos? I don't know. Like I talked to another female comic and she was like, sometimes I think he posts just the ugliest photos of me because he doesn't want people to be attracted to me.
Yeah, or this sounds weird, but I like my dad does this, and but it's almost this thing that he's like, "What? You look beautiful always." And there is sometimes this thing of like they could just love you so much that they're just like there is no like bad photo of you in their mind. But also it's like yes, similar though. Like a dad isn't going to put up a picture who's like, "Look at my daughter in her bikini. Look how hot she is."
I also think like a lot of dudes like I keep like running this in my head a lot where I'm like most men waking up and maybe washing their face. That's the best it's going to get all day.
Yeah.
Like, think about how much we do. They, like...
Even when you don't do a lot, you always do more than men.
Yeah, and, like, I think, like... And sometimes he looks at me and he's like, why are you doing so much to go out? And I'm like, I don't know, like, to feel good?
Yeah.
Like, and then again, like, I go back to this thing, like, I'm like, this, like, really isn't for you at this point. Like, when we were dating, it was for you, but now it's, like, more for me. And also, like, I find, like...
It isn't, because they like to parade us.
They do. They like to be like, look how hot she is.
Yeah, they want you to look hot when you meet their friends.
Yes.
It's just always what it is. So, like, if you're going out on date night and it's just the two of you, maybe they don't care because they're like, well, we're not seeing anyone. But if you're going to a wedding of their boy, it's like, you better bring it that day. That's not the day they pop in and go, what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing? You doing eyeliner? What?
Yeah.
For what?
No, they do like to... Yeah, I think they do like to have you looking great too, to
like,
also like flex a bit.
That's the reason like anybody brings anybody to a high school reunion is just flex.
Yeah.
Like that person knows no one here. No one is talking to them the whole night. It's like they're literally just a trophy.
Yes,
they're just standing there, and it's like I fuck so and so. That's if someone brought me to a reunion, that's all I would say. I'd say, "Oh, who am I? I fuck that guy, and he just wants you to know, and that's why I wore this outfit. So I'm doing my job, and that's all I'm gonna fucking say. I'm gonna be like, I don't gotta know you. Maybe I don't know. If we get married, I'll get to know you. But right now, I'm just a trophy in the corner. Like that's literally all I am. Like, I don't know that role. I'll be like, all right.
Yeah, and I think like now, like if I'm dressing up or whatever, it's like when I was saying like my generation kind of like dresses for other women is like, like that Jersey Italian does like to dress to get like someone jealous. But like now at this point in my life, I think like when I go out, like it's like a conversation starter for me and other women, like to connect to other women, where I'll be like, oh, where'd you get that? Or, oh, I really like that. And, you compliment someone on, like most women, when if you're another woman and you compliment them on their outfit and like, I'm like, oh, I really like your thing. Like, oh, cool. I got this for blah, blah, blah. Or I got this for $15 or,
that's the move I tell men to do. I'm like, compliment like her shoes, her bag, like that will immediately get you in a conversation with a lady.
Yeah.
Like compliment something that isn't like her fucking body.
Yeah.
Like literally the most basic thing. Or her scent. That's an easy one.
Yeah, the scent.
Oh, are you wearing a perfume?
Wow, you smell great.
You smell really nice.
Smell? Yeah. Not to be weird or anything. Like you gotta.
Oh, no, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. You put it on.
Yeah. Like I had someone slide into my DMs a couple weeks ago and they put, it was, I don't know, I put up a photo, like it was me and my girlfriends went out and I put up a photo and the person messaged me and it was a guy and he goes, I just want to let you know your husband is the luckiest man ever. And I was like, I can't even be mad at this. Like, I can't tell him to go fuck himself because my husband is the luckiest man ever. And I'm like, also, this is like, you know, because he's like, and that's the way to go about it, you know? To be like, oh man, your friend, like if you see a girl and she's out with her girlfriends looking super hot, be like, wow, man, your girls are so lucky to be out with you tonight. You look like you're having a blast. You look great.
Yeah.
That girl, you got her.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like you got her. You got her.
Exactly.
Don't be like, man, your tits look great.
Yeah. But I was going to say also the like dressing for other women, I feel like also is a solidarity move.
Yeah.
Like have you ever had the friend, like, you know, last minute plans, especially you're like, oh, you know, I just got up. You want to grab brunch, lunch, whatever, And it's like, what are you wearing? You're like, I'm a fucking sweats, man.
Yeah.
And you show up and the other friend's like, yeah, me too. And they show up and you're like, no, you fucking not.
Yeah.
It's like, you bitch.
Yeah.
I'm standing here looking frumpy as hell.
Yeah, we just did this for a wedding recently. I didn't know everybody who was going. And it was a black tie wedding. And so I just knew like the bride, but I didn't know the other women who were going to be there. But the other women ended up texting one another through our husbands. Yeah. And so they would be like, what's your wife wearing? What's your wife wearing? Because it was black tie and like, we didn't, you know, and they weren't all from New York. They were from like the South and they were driving up. So, you know, it's like a New York wedding, like there's a New York wedding, different black tie versus down there. And so we all just like ended up texting, giving our husbands photos of our dresses. And then they all, and it was funny because the day of the wedding, they're like, oh, you're Alexis's wife, right? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, yeah, I saw your dress. I knew you from the dress.
Yeah, that's so funny. But it's so true. Because it's always, and I almost feel like that's like, I call it the Jersey girl mentality because my mom has it. It's almost this thing of like, if you always are hanging out with other women that are always bringing it, then you're just like, yeah, I don't want to look like, you know, the slub of the group situation.
Like, you bring it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or and like I act different ways around different family that I know I'm going to. I'm like, okay, this family I'm going to, I'm like, they're more laid back. They're not super dressy. I'm going to communion on this other side of the family. It's like, oh, I got to like be in heels and bring it.
Yeah. Like I know that with my girlfriends too. But I have a group, like my core group of girlfriends, like you're dressing up.
Yeah.
If you're going out. Yeah. Like we're going out.
Yeah.
And like we plan, like we're going to see Bad Bunny in like August, and we're already planning.
Where are you going to see him?
Was it MetLife? I guess
he's going to MetLife.
I think
I got to hook up there. I can get tickets.
It's either Yankee Stadium.
Oh my god,
it's in the Bronx. I know that. But yeah, I'm seeing him like August 28th, I think, or 27th, and then I know I'm seeing him one day, and Alexis is seeing him the following day with like one of his friends. But yeah, like
you're dressing up for that.
We've been planning, like it's not even here, and we've been planning our outfits since May.
Yeah,
like for like what we're wearing.
Oh hell yeah! Because I would get in shape just for that.
Can I tell you something? I literally put that in the fucking group chat. I put that in the group chat the other day. I was like, I really got to get on it because I got to be in shape by August. And they're like, "What's August?" And I was like, "The Bad Bunny concert."
Yeah, the outfit I want to wear is in August.
To look great for the fucking gram.
Yeah, I'm gonna be tan and I'm gonna fucking have
like
it.
Everything
together.
needs to be tight, you know?
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Oh, I love it. I'm like, sadly, we have to wrap, but
okay.
I appreciate you coming on. You gotta come on again
I hope
sometime.
It was like good.
This is fun as hell. Oh yeah, maybe we'll do I know you're into astrology.
Yeah, I'm into
reading
all the
cards, all that stuff.
I'm into all the things.
I'm not, but I'm like open to the world, you know, of it. So I need someone that knows what they're talking about.
And I told you, like, I use like oracle cards and like astrology and these things not as predictive so much, but more of like more for introspection and like my own self-care. Like for astrology, for instance, like first off, nobody can be painted with like one brush, right? Like we're all our own unique things, and I'm 100% behind that. And also, we always have free will at all times. Yeah. So like you have free will, nothing is like destined. Circumstances may like align in a certain way, but you can choose like what you want to do in them. But I use it more for like introspection and like self-care, especially like astrology, because like I look at like it's kind of like someone being like, these are the shitty parts of your personality. Like, and you're kind of like, and sometimes I look at them like, yeah, I could get behind that. Yeah. I'm a little, I have a temper.
It's almost like cause it's the stars, it doesn't hurt as much. When they're like, this is where you suck. You're like, well, it's not my fault.
You know, and people will get caught up with it. And I'm like, astrology, religion, never is like going against women and saying they hate gay people. You know what I mean? Like the stars don't do that. Yeah. Religion does. So they'll be like, oh, I grew up really religious. I can't like do tarot. I'm like, really? Okay. Nowhere in tarot does it, is it taking away your rights?
No, not at all. So yeah, anyway,
it's very fluid, but yeah, I use it for that.
People can follow you at DShootsit. And at the.Donnas.
The.Donnas.
DONAS. DONAS.
Which means the women.
Yes. And check out her podcast and all her goodies at donnasproject.com. And if you stay tuned, we have a Patreon preview coming up next. And you can follow us at Shooters Gotta Shoot Pod and at Sperica with 2 A's. And we'll see y'all next week. Thanks again for coming on.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
But yeah, the truth is we never really know. We never really know. And also that it's like Oh, fuck, I might cry on this. It is something that it's like, damn. All right, maybe I'm not 100% better, but whatever. It's like, for a long time, it's kind of like every year would go by and I still would feel this like, you know, this year's going to be my year. Like, no, this will be the year that like I am with someone. And even not the level of like marriage, right? Of like, oh, this is going to be my person for life. But almost this like, oh, like every year I kind of would have that thing of like, this is going to be my year, you know, like this will be the year that like I meet someone and it clicks and I have like a nice relationship or just someone I really connect with. And what's hard is, it's like every year that goes by, you believe it less and less. And that's kind of the frustration of where I'm at.